Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly rundown. We have just concluded what is undoubtedly the most significant week of the Trump restoration. From June 13th to the 19th, the world witnessed a pivot from the brink of total war to a generational peace deal signed in the halls of Versailles. Today, we are breaking down the Iran peace deal, a steel wall against nuclear proliferation that has already sent oil prices into a freefall, and we'll discuss the foiled drone terror plot that targeted the White House during the massive UFC Freedom 250 event. We're also diving into the bombshell declassifications from DNI Tulsi Gabbard regarding Dr. Anthony Fauci and the Wuhan lab, and we'll take you inside the cockpit of the brand new Starlink-equipped Air Force One. From the nuclear dust in the mountains of Iran to the federal investigations into the governor of California, the maximum pressure campaign is delivering results. Let's get started. We begin with the headline that has stunned the world. On Friday, June 19th in Versailles, France, after finishing the G7 summit, President Trump officially signed a memorandum of understanding with the Islamic Republic of Iran to formally end the war. This is a performance-based deal that includes the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts. Iran has agreed to never obtain a nuclear weapon, not by developing, purchasing, or acquiring material. To ensure this, the U.S. will go in at an appropriate time to seize and destroy the enriched uranium buried deep under Granite Mountains by B-2 bombers. President Trump revealed he has cameras from space watching every single location, so the regime can't move an inch without being seen. Economically, the Strait of Hormuz is now open to all, with no tolls, and President Trump confirmed that ships are already flowing out, 700 of them at last count, carrying oil along a safe and secure southern highway. In response, the U.S. has lifted its naval blockade. One major point of contention has been the cost, but Vice President Vance and the President have repeatedly dispelled rumors that the U.S. is paying Iran. Zero American taxpayer dollars are being sent to Iran, and instead, the deal allows Iran to sell oil on the global market again. Trump emphasized behavioral compliance, and if all goes well, Gulf Arab nations may invest in their reconstruction, but only after verification of their compliance. As the president put it, our deal is a wall against Iran ever having a nuclear weapon. Trump coordinated with Gulf leaders and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, calling for restraint to preserve the process, and oil prices dropped significantly with the strait reopening. Israel was apparently not on the same page as the United States, and Vice President Vance criticized them for causing massive explosions right when we were on the cusp of a major breakthrough. Saying the United States is disappointed in Israel right now is an understatement. Earlier in the week, on Sunday, June 14th, Flag Day, and President Trump's 80th birthday, the White House hosted the UFC Freedom 250 event, where thousands gathered on the National Mall to watch the fights and celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary. A bald eagle kicked off the weigh-in, and UFC fighters made their walkouts directly from the White House. Jets flew over the White House, and people chanted USA, and the national anthem was performed. Although the night went smoothly, behind the scenes, the FBI and Secret Service foiled a massive explosive drone terror plot targeting the event. The plot, led by a Mexican illegal alien and involving nearly 24 suspects, was designed to use armed drones to attack buildings around the White House. The plan was to cause a mass evacuation, funneling the crowd toward pre-staged sniper teams. The ringleader, Abraham Alvarez, may have been a DACA recipient granted status during the Biden administration. Investigators say the plot was motivated by the Trump-Epstein hoax and radical beliefs that the president was protecting elites. Thanks to a tip from a 19-year-old suspect's mother and the vigilance of federal agents, the attack was stopped before it could begin. 2 California men were arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and others are still being investigated. Turning to national security, this week marked the final day for Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and she did not go out quietly. On her way out, Gabbard declassified bombshell documents exposing a treasonous plot by deep state actors. The files reportedly confirmed that Dr. Anthony Fauci used millions in taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. Most damningly, the documents suggest Fauci injected himself into the intelligence community to suppress the truth about the COVID-19 lab leak origins and lied to Congress under oath to shift blame away from his own actions. Senator Rand Paul has referred Fauci to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution twice under Biden and twice under Trump, and he's also pushed the DOJ to challenge the auto pen pardon. Stepping in as new acting DNI is Bill Pulte, who reportedly showed up to his first day asking for a list of every single employee to determine who to fire. The president noted that the deep state is terrified of Pulte because of what they are hiding. Shifting focus now to California, Governor Gavin Newsom and his wife are under multiple federal investigations for tax and records issues, and of course Newsom is blaming all of this on President Trump. However, one or more of these investigations began during the Biden administration, including an investigation into Newsom's chief of staff. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon is investigating the state of California for an illegal gay certification program that awards utility companies $633 million in contracts for specifically LGBTQ companies, and Spencer Pratt joined forces with the brother of LA Mayor Karen Bass to sue the city of Los Angeles after his house burned down. After allegations homeless people were paid to vote, the FBI investigated voter fraud by conducting dozens of interviews on the streets of Los Angeles, which shifts us right into the topic of the Save America Act. President Trump wanted the Save America Act attached to the FISA bill, saying he'd oppose it otherwise, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune rejected that, calling it unrealistic. Scott Presler warned Thune that if the Save America Act does not go into effect by November 2026, Thune will face a Texas-sized primary in 2028. Last for this topic, Representative Anna Paulina Luna announced an effort to force the Save America Act onto the National Defense Authorization Act. Let's switch to a mix of other hot topics from the week, and I do want to point out that if you hear weird maniacal laughing in the background, that's just my parrot wanting to participate. Moving forward. The new Air Force One was unveiled at Joint Base Andrews, featuring red, white, and blue livery and equipped with the highest level of secure communications, including Starlink provided by Elon Musk. President Trump surprised the press by inviting them inside to see what he called the world's most luxurious plane, and Trump signed a mechanical panel on the plane. While the president celebrated the new jet, he also honored heroes on the ground. He awarded the Medal of Honor to legendary Marine veteran James Capers Jr., who saved 7 fellow Marines in Vietnam despite having broken legs and losing massive amounts of blood. Capers Jr. received a standing ovation after the president told him the nation had kept him waiting far too long. Colonel John W. Ripley and Major Nicholas Dockery were also awarded the Medal of Honor, with Colonel Ripley awarded posthumously for his actions in 1972 during the Vietnam War, and Major Dockery awarded for heroism in 2012, including rescuing wounded soldiers under Taliban fire. The following day, Capers and Ripley were inducted into the Pentagon's Hall of Heroes. Now it's time for the noteworthy tidbits, which are brought to you today by Big Fork Brands. Let me tell you about them quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's J-A-D-E, at checkout. All right, let's get back to the tidbits. Senator Mitch McConnell was admitted to the hospital to receive care. There aren't any updates on his condition other than he sounds good. President Trump spoke with Putin and Zelensky in another effort to end the Ukraine war. United Airlines announced an America 250 plane design, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said airlines are now competing for the top Patriot designs. A Haitian national in Florida was convicted in a healthcare fraud scheme involving over $58 million in false claims targeting Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurers. A federal judge denied Milwaukee judge Hannah Dugan's effort to overturn her conviction of aiding an illegal alien and obstructing ICE at the courthouse. The Department of Justice criminally charged 15 people tied to Antifa in Minnesota for conspiring to attack and impede federal agents during ICE raids. The U.S. Senate confirmed judicial nominee Justin Smith to be U.S. Circuit Judge for the 8th Circuit. Mike Collins won the Georgia U.S. Senate GOP primary, and Rick Jackson won the Georgia gubernatorial GOP primary. President Trump confirmed Qatar will be investing over $1 trillion into the United States. The New York Times reported on records that show Jeffrey Epstein hated President Trump and repeatedly tried to find dirt on him, but failed. For more information on this, listen to my next Epstein episode. President Trump revealed he may soon get all the U.S. military equipment abandoned by Biden in Afghanistan. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon referred a religious discrimination probe into the MLB after they warned San Francisco Giants players against writing Bible verses on their LGBTQ pride hats, and York Revolution players refused to wear their LGBTQ uniforms during their game, resulting in leadership forfeiting it. President Trump pointed out how hypocritical it is for Democrats to support Graham Plattner, the man with a Nazi tattoo, while calling Trump a Nazi for 10 years. 74% of Massachusetts fraud prosecutions happen to be illegal aliens who targeted food assistance, Medicaid, housing, Social Security, and disability, and the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts said they repeatedly asked for the SNAP food stamp data, but they were refused. The Renewed Hope Act was signed into law, so there will now be 200 victim identification specialists instead of 7, giving children a real chance of being identified and rescued. The State Department defunded South Africa's AIDS program after the country refused to stop the violence and persecution of white people. The DOJ is increasing denaturalizations by 2,400%, expected to file over 250 cases by October, compared to the previous annual average of 10 cases filed. Last for today, President Trump double-endorsed the South Carolina governor's race, saying Pam Yvette and Alan Wilson are both highly respected candidates. That wraps up our recap of June 13th through June 19th. This week marked a major foreign policy achievement alongside sustained domestic accountability. What stood out the most to you this week? Drop your thoughts in the comments on Instagram or X at ShadesOfJadePod. Also, leave a review and share this podcast with a friend this week. Until next time, thank you for listening and have a great day.